I'm currently in the forest with my two dog friends, Kirk and Scotty, and so we're having a walk, so I'm doing that, and then I'm also talking to you about something that came up. It's been coming up for a while, and then I wrote about it, and it was one of those times when I wrote about it and I thought, well, I think I am the only person who's going to get what I've written about, and it was the opposite. A lot of people got in touch saying, oh, I really relate to that. So I thought I'd include it in the podcast. Maybe it's too much because as I'm doing that, I'm looking at what happens is Kirk is very captainish. That's why he got called Kirk. They're called, my dog friends are called Kirk and Scotty after the two chaps from Star Trek. So Kirk is Captain Kirk, and then Scotty is Scotty. And Kirk is very captainish and is always in front. And Scotty is very determined to walk at his own pace and explore what he needs to explore. So he's he's got his own person. So they're both on leads because we're in a forest and cars appear out of nowhere every now and then, so I can't just let them run. So whenever I have the two of them on leads at the same time, I end up being like Stretch Armstrong in the middle. And then I had the brainwave to attach the two leads together. So, and then I just hold the bit in the middle. I've just got a little handle that I hold in the middle. So they can do what they like. And Scotty gets quite offended if he feels like he's being pulled. So I can kind of go, it's not me, it's Kirk. Kirk's the one doing the pulling here. Because Kirk's the one out in front. So the thing that I wrote about was about, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, I had this intense feeling of kindness being directed towards me, which sounds lovely, and it was lovely, but the thing is that there was nobody around. It wasn't a person being kind to me. It was a feeling of that everything had been made just for me. The trees, the stars, the sun, the moon, the leaves, every leaf on every tree. I just had this very strong feeling of that it was all done for me. It was beautiful. It was very moving and very lovely. And when I was ranging around on the inside going, what do I call this? The only thing that kept coming to mind was the kindness, because that's what it felt like, just profound kindness. It was so beautiful. So it lasted for a couple of days. It just came out of nowhere. I didn't summon it or I didn't conjure it. I had no control over it that I could see. And then I got distracted and I got on with the 101 things of life, and I forgot about it because it kind of faded away. But then last month, was it last month? Yeah, last month, it came back again, very strongly, very strongly. And this time, I wouldn't say I could control it, but it's like I found my way to it. It's probably the best way I think of it. If I couldn't, all I had to do was think about it and there it was. But then when I drifted a bit further, I could find my way back to it by, I kind of think of it like joining the dots. And the dots are what's good. I just have to look at what's good. And I'd look at this thing that was good, then I'd look at that thing that was good, then I'd look at this other thing that was good, and then suddenly there it would be again. That's sense of intense kindness being directed towards me. So I would look, there's always good. Doesn't matter how bad everything is, there's always good. So I would just, look at my breathing, or I would look at one of my dog friends, or I would look at a leaf, or look at the sunshine, or the warmth, or the feeling of my clothing. Anything. There's so much good around. And there I would be back. That was great. It's like, oh, this is fantastic. Until one morning I woke up, and it was it was one of those mornings where I woke up, my eyes opened, and I'm sort of staring at the ceiling. I'm awake, but I'm not fully there yet. Now, what I was talking about is happening. Kirk is too far ahead. He's pulling Scotty, and Scotty is looking very upset. Like, what are you pulling me for? And I'm going, it's not me. Look, here it is again. See him? Look, he's very upset. So yeah, I'm lying in bed, blinking at the ceiling. Don't really know who I am. Don't really know where I am. Now, what I'm describing all happens very fast, but so I wake up, and then my mind goes, oh, let me just read off the list of things you should be concerned about. In fact, these are more than concerns. These are things you should be actively worried about. Yes, you should definitely be worried about these things. So I started to worry. And then I started to get quite concerned, because the things I was worrying about weren't small things. They didn't feel small. And then I got quite anxious. And then I went, well, this is terrible. Where's the kindness now? And I had a very strong visual of my anxiety or fear creating like a bubble around me, like a force field around me. And the force field was blocking me from experiencing the kindness. And it was one of those awful moments of like, oh my God, is this what's been going on my whole life? This fear or anxiety creates a barrier between me and the thing that I want to be connected to, which is the kindness. Because it's like the kindness is there all around. It sort of felt like it's this lovely music that's there all the time. But me doing a sort of a Will Ferrell, like, I'm so afraid, where's the kindness? I'm drowning it out. I'm drowning out the kindness, but with the music of the kindness, with my sort of screaming in terror. And I was like, oh, is that what's been going on? Has that been going on my whole life? Like fear blocking me from the thing that I want to get to. Because one of the things one of the really strong elements to the kindness was this feeling of safety, of just like everything's okay, everything's for you, you're totally loved, you're totally taken care of, there's nothing to worry about. Which is, of course, when you're worried, that's exactly the place you want to be. But then kind of going, where is that place? Where's that place? Where's that music? Where's that music? I can't hear the music. So that was another way of finding my way back to the kindness, was of when I'm afraid or anxious, to be very still. And what came back to me was the movie or the book Dune. I read the book Dune in the late 70s. It's a great book. I really liked it. And it stayed with me. So many different things have stayed with me. And not just me. It's a very enduring book. And there's been films made of it. And it's currently been made quite recently. And it's divided into two parts. The part one's out. It's very good. But there's a scene in it where the main character, Paul Atreides, is he's in his bedroom, and there's this thing called a hunter seeker is put into his room, which is, it's like a little AI poison dart that is attracted to movement. So he sees it out of the corner of his eyes and he freezes. And he knows that if he makes any kind of movement at all, it'll get him. So he has to be very still. And he recites this thing called a litany against fear, which his mother taught him. His mother was what they called in the book the Bene Gesserit, it's kind of like a secret nun kind of a thing, like nuns, like Catholic nuns, except with sort of superpowers. But anyway, the litany of fear is something along the lines of, I will not fear, fear is the little death, I will turn and face my fear and let it wash through me. This is an exact quote now. I'm in the forest. Come on, I haven't got the exact quote. I let the fear wash through me, wash over me. I'll turn my inner eye where the fear has gone, and there will be nothing, and only I will remain. Something along those lines. If you really want to get the exact quote, go and look at the blog post I wrote about this. And that came back to me in relation to anxiety blocking the kindness, because it's very similar. It's like the kindness or the anxiety is a little bit like a hunter-seeker in your bedroom. Okay, I'm pushing this analogy a bit, but anyway, to help the force field that's blocking the kindness, I have to be very still, because I know the only way for the kindness, for me to reconnect with the kindness, or for the kindness to come through to me, is to be very still and to not be afraid. And you not being afraid is easy to say. It's like somebody who's tense and you say to them, would you never just relax? I mean, that is probably of the all-time least helpful things you can say to somebody who's tense. That's up there. Because if you're tense, trying to force yourself to relax is very difficult. And similarly, trying to make yourself not be afraid when you are afraid, that's virtually impossible. But you can be very still, and you can stop adding to the fearful thoughts. So you can just be as still as you can, knowing that as you're being still, the fear drains away. Because a lot of fear is to do with momentum and repetition and looping thoughts. And what am I going to do about this thing? What am I going to do about this thing? What am I going to, just over and over and over, trying to, solve problems. Whereas if you're just very still, I have found that fear goes. And I'm very motivated to be very still now, because I know that being very still and letting the fear or anxiety fade away, well, that means that the kindness can come back. So, I don't know if you relate to any of that. Kirk and Scotty do, definitely. They are very big proponents of being still when they're afraid. They're not. They like to bark a lot if they're afraid. I don't know if you relate to it. I hope you do, because as I said in the blog post, it's my fondest wish that you experience the kindness, because it's such a gift, such a friendly, warm gift to receive. And I have a feeling it's there for everybody. I just happened to be lucky enough to stumble into it. And from the feedback that I've got, other people have I know exactly what you're talking about. I experienced that too. And I always think if you can experience something once, you can experience it all the time. Because everything we experience happens inside us. So it's all in there. And these little hacks that I've come across of joining up the dots, joining up the good dots, looking at what's good, and then if you notice the fear is blocking you from the kindness, being very still.